Coming up, new Meta glasses, exclamation mark, question mark.
You're listening to Double Time, your daily accessible technology show. Now, here's your hosts, Stephen Scott and Shaun Preece.
Did that confuse you a little bit?
Are you dictating a text there, Stephen Scott? What's going on?
That is blind man dictation right there. Didn't do very well at school, so I'm not sure if I'm supposed to put the question mark first or the exclamation mark first. But either way around, there is a question mark on this one because, look, there's no news of new glasses. But Bloomberg have reported that when Meta do release glasses later this year, and we're probably expecting an announcement, September time with Meta Connect, when they generally do that, that there will be new glasses coming in, and we do have an idea of price.
Breaking news.
Yes.
Over $1,000.
What? Forget it. Okay. So what are you getting? What's new on these?
So
are these going to be called the Meta Ray-Ban 2s, by the way?
No.
No. Okay.
I actually don't know what they're going to be called because
no, we don't.
Ray-Ban Meta, I mean, look, Ray-Ban is the brand that's partnered up at the minute. There's also talk, by the way, of Oakley, which is, I think, also part of the whole Essilor-Luxottica range or brands or house of brands. So, there's talk of like Oakley Metas. That's not easy to say, is it? Oakley Meta. I don't know if that's going to catch on as much, to be honest. Yeah.
Exotica or whatever it is.
Yeah, exactly. I can get horribly wrong. There's been a few goes at that one today. But yeah, so the talk is, according to Bloomberg anyway, that these are going to have a starting price of more than $1,000, going all the way up to $1,400 potentially. The publication says that even though pricing is yet to be nailed down, what is likely to happen, and the reason that the cost will jump, is because these new glasses, going under the name Hypernova, okay. They will have a screen behind the lenses. Oh, no.
Wait,
doomed.
Stephen Scott.
We're
let
all
me say
doomed.
this. We're all doomed. Stop it. A screen behind the lens.
Yes.
So this is going to be on one side, and it's going to be at the bottom edge of one of the lenses. So this isn't like a virtual reality headset. This isn't complete screens in front of your eyes.
This is AR, isn't it? This is augmented reality, isn't it?
This is, I wouldn't even go that far. This is very Google Glass-like for me. If you're not aware, the Google Glass had a little strip above your, sort of where your eyebrow is, I would say, just underneath your eyebrow on the right-hand side.
Yeah.
And it was just a little strip which could display notifications, basically. This is going to be a bit more than that because apparently it's going to have a little home screen on it. But still, this isn't a full screen in front of your eyes or even eye. This is going to be a little area. So, yeah, I'm a little bit, when we talk about augmented reality, mixed reality, virtual reality, it's all about imposing digital content on top of the real world and, full screen content. This is more, I would say, for notifications and things like that. So I'm not entirely sure. Do you think this is where it's all going to go, though, right? Because you said it just then. It's visual. It's got a screen. And immediately I go, I don't want a screen.
It's like when the Echo got the screen, right? I thought, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
What now? And of course, we lost functionality with the Echo with the screen.
We did.
And that was the issue for us, right? So I suppose we're always thinking about our own little selfish bubble because we are selfish, terrible people. I'm talking about Shaun and I, of course, not the entire blind community, just to be clear on that.
But the vast majority of people, when they think of smart glasses, will want a display in there, won't they? It's inevitable.
I don't know. I guess so. I mean, I look, Google Glass never took off, but I think that was partly because of its timing. I think it was excellent technology. It was just bad timing. And the price point was roughly the same, right? It was about $1,000. Same deal. Yeah. This time round, look, I think people have been intrigued by Meta Ray-Ban. And I'm talking mainstream here as well as us, of course, in the community. I think generally people are quite excited by them because they're cool looking and they can do the whole Facebook Live or the Instagram. People love taking videos of, the family, the pets, the kids running about.
That's true.
They love all that stuff. So that's kind of got people in. And the idea now is to sort of upgrade that experience with the screen and give, as you say, access to notifications from WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger, because it's all going to be tightly controlled, I would imagine, by Meta, as the Ray-Bans already are. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with it. I suppose my question is, will it have its own brain? Because we've heard about this Project Orion, which is, if you take Google Glass as an example or a comparison, Google Glass essentially was its own computer, right? So it didn't really need to connect to anything else. It could connect to a smartphone, but it could live on its own. It had its own apps. It had its own world. Like Meta Quest, I guess, right? Meta Quest is the equivalent of today.
That's right.
Where it's a computer on your head, like Apple Vision Pro.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, and that's the big difference, right? When we say about the price point of these wearables, I mean, the Meta Ray-Bans are very reasonably priced. And then people will say, well, why would anyone look at the M-Vision glasses? But the big difference there is that the M-Vision glasses are standalone. They're a computer you're wearing in glasses. They can run completely without anything else. So that is the difference, and that is a big deal. But once you get to that, which is, I think we could all agree, preferable, that they just stand alone. You don't need a phone to power them. Once you get to that point, then you got battery life issues, trying to get all the technology you need in there, responsiveness, performance. So it is very difficult. And of course, that brings with it price.
It does. So just to give you some context here on a wider sense, because again, we tend to look at this in our world and we think about the AI functionality and the benefits for us and what could potentially go on there. But, let's look at what Meta are trying to achieve here. So the Meta Ray-Bans came out in October 2023, which seems quite recent. Actually,
it does, yes.
But they came out in October 2023. That was the first time we heard of them. I guess we all started to get a little bit more interested the year after. The first edition didn't make much of a splash in our community. The second edition did. More people started to get interested in it, including me. That was the first time I started to think, you know what, I'm going to try these out, and realized they were pretty cool. So far, Meta say that they have sold, well, the combination, the company itself actually, who make these glasses, Essilor Luxottica, they've announced 2 million pairs have been sold so far. Now, what they're aiming to do, Meta say they want to sell 10 million pairs a year by the end of 2026. Now, to be fair, that's not going to happen with a device that costs over $1,000. Although, who knows, right? I mean, you think about how many iPhones get sold, how many Android phones get sold at that price point. Who knows? But it's what the offer is. Bloomberg do say, though, and it's important to say this, that the company does plan to continue offering cheaper pairs. That could be good news for us as long as we get the functionality that we are looking for. I wonder what that functionality will be that will work for us. And like I say, if it's got the brain in it, if it's essentially its own pair of glasses with its own ability to have apps on there, and we've already seen from Meta Envision working alongside them to build a navigation tool that would be built in. Now, this was with this other project that's ongoing. There's a lot of projects kicking around.
There is.
Trying to sort of develop this technology. And there's that whole Orion project that was announced, which I don't know if that's a tied to this. I don't really understand where Orion fits into this versus Hypernova.
Orion is very much the virtual reality headset side of thing. We are talking full screens in front of your eyes with pass-through cameras like the Vision Pro from Apple. So that's very much, when we're talking virtual or mixed reality, then we're talking Project Orion or whatever they're calling it now. So
that's separate then?
That would be separate. But there is a little bit of crossover here, and it is maybe, look, they're all given Project whatever code names at the minute. So maybe there will be some crossover before anything is finally released. But we are seeing more and more smart glasses, as we know them, with displays coming in at this sort of price point. There was some that says that have the same sort of ability to display text. Let's put it that way, in front of the person's eyes. So that does seem to be like the midway step that we're going before we get to the full virtual reality headsets, because the technology, the screen display technology just isn't there where you could put it in a pair of sunglasses. And that's the thing that people really want, just a normal looking pair of sunglasses. Of course, they want all this technology on top, but we just can't do it yet.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's going to take time for Project Orion to emerge, and whether or not that's, in our price range, who knows, right? We'll find out as it comes along. But certainly, as far as the Meta Ray-Bans are concerned, this next edition that's going to be coming out, if these rumors are true, I kind of think it makes sense for them to move up a gear with what they're doing. They clearly have seen value in the sales. Not enough, I don't think, to continue maybe focusing just on that. They want to increase and expand it, and that makes total sense. And, we should say as well, these glasses will also apparently come with multiple ways to control them, including a wristband. which will offer another method of control. Now, this could again open up all kinds of interesting ways to control the device for people with different mobility issues, dexterity issues. This could be quite interesting. But it is going to change the glasses a little bit. It's going to move them up a gear. It's going to give them more functionality. I'm quite excited by what Meta are doing here. And it kind of feels, I suppose, if I was trying to compare it, I would think of it, if I was to take Apple as an example and say, well, let's look at the iPhone range. It sounds kind of like what Meta are doing with smart glasses is creating a range, from the simple audio sunglasses with the cameras to ones with a display, then moving on to, full AR and then full VR. I mean, when you think about it, where Apple have kind of cornered the market, and Google have, of course, as well with Android, I think that what Meta are doing is doing this with glass. And this is where the other companies might struggle. Although who knows? Because who knows what's going to happen. I always say that, and then somebody else comes along with something equally as good. But Meta were there first, it would feel, with this. I mean, I know Google got there first with Google Glass, but that project died off. It didn't get the plaudits I think it deserved, actually.
Well, it's funny, though, because there was a lot of concern. I mean, privacy was what killed the Google Glass to some extent. Society just wasn't ready for people wearing these.
At that point, yeah.
And plus, let's be honest, AI has made a huge impact on wearables. If we didn't have AI at all, how useful would wearables be anyway? I mean, Envision on the Google Glass is there because of the use of machine learning and AI. Other than that, not sure. But I think the Metas are in a different position because of their social media platform. Being able to stream to, Instagram and Facebook. A lot of people would just buy them just to be able to do that as well. So there is a slight difference there.
The one fly in the ointment, though, we can't avoid is, and this is, I don't think I even finished this thought yesterday. I started saying this and then I drifted off as usual I do. Stream of consciousness and all that. But I was thinking about it yesterday that I look at a Giga and I look at what they're doing with the Echovision glasses and I think, well, in a way I'm slightly more excited about what they're doing because A, they're focused in on the community, but also simply because Meta are really struggling to get this product outside of the US. And for a lot of people who don't live in the US, I mean, it's shocking, I know the world does not revolve around it, but there you go. It doesn't. And so you got to get the product out to more people. And the AI products are not fully available. Now, you can blame whoever you want for that. You can blame the European Union. You can blame regulators in the UK. You can blame whoever, wherever. But, at the end of the day, it's not happening. And that's causing a problem. And I partly hope that other companies that are creating, like the Echovision glasses, for example, don't fall into the same traps, the same problems.
Absolutely.
That could be a challenge down the line. Maybe we end up back to the days of having to medicalize these devices just so we can get access to them. We get the same features, but they have to be classed differently in order to access them. I hope that doesn't happen. But, it does worry me a little bit because, as great as my Meta Ray-Bans are, they are cameras. They're taking pictures. They're calling people. They are used for voiceover. That's kind of it now. That's all I'm doing with them.
Yeah, but that's not a bad thing, right? I mean,
and be my eyes, in fairness, and be my eyes.
As I constantly say, be my eyes and the ability to make a video call with someone, one of my contacts, makes it worth the money alone for me. Even if I didn't have any other features, be my eyes, Ira as well, let's not forget, through WhatsApp. Yep. All those sort of services, going hands-free, makes it totally worth it.
Can I be honest? So the Ira thing is cool, right? When I started using the whole Ira with WhatsApp thing, I was a little bit confused. I think it's a challenge with the implementation. And of course there's limitations on what they can do. But the whole thing of calling up, then getting a link sent to you, then opening that link and making that call, and then making sure that you end that call, because if you don't end that call, your minutes get deducted and suddenly my head has exploded. Yeah. I need more than help with what I'm trying to do at that point. I need mental help at that point because I can't figure out what on earth I'm doing. And have I cut this call off properly? And am I losing minutes here? I feel that's
Meta's fault.
It is, although, actually one implementation could be if people could contact Ira directly through WhatsApp rather than having to go through an Ira agent on the Ira app first. that could be a solution to that, right? You have
that's a technical issue, though, right? Because of the way Aira works with their dashboard and the ability to use the GPS or whatever else it may be, there must be a technical reason why they've got to do it that way. You just can't cold call through WhatsApp to Aira. I don't know why that is. But if Meta just opened up the accessibility like they did for Be My Eyes, everything would be gravy.
Yes, everything would be just wonderful.
It would.
But anyway, these glasses, we're talking later in the year, possibly around September time, because that's, as I say, when you would expect, things to be coming out with Meta Connect. That'll be where you will see them.
Yeah.
Let's see what they bring out, okay? But for some people, this is just going to be an improved camera. If they spend the money, this is going to be an improved camera. That might be enough for some people. But
it does mention that the camera will be improved.
Which is not a surprise.
No. Is it worth double the money? Because the display might as well not be there for us, right? Who cares?
Yes.
So what else is it going to improve camera? I mean, there is a lot of issues reading normal size print with the current camera in the Meta Ray-Ban. So for some people, maybe that will be enough. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see.
Interesting times ahead. Okay, look, shall we get into some emails? There's plenty of them.
Yes.
Emails.
We get email. We get
wow,
email
lots of energy. Ding dong.
Here's your email today.
Emails. It's like Bring Out Your Dead, Stephen Scott. Blimey, put some oomph into it.
Email. I can't do it. Can I just tell you, by the way? So when we were at CSUN, right, I got this calendar, a Braille calendar. This was picked up by Jane because she's wonderful. So Jane was going around hoovering up everything she could find, and this was people stuff. And this calendar, a 2025 calendar, which is was from Sensei, I think it is, or Sensei, Sensee, Sensei.
Sensei. Okay.
Sensei. And this is a Braille calendar. But, it's kind of unusual because I've never seen one like this. Normally when you get a Braille calendar here in the UK, they're just like, it's almost like how do you describe it? Index cards,
yeah.
They're never really, it's just like a bunch of index cards that have been sort of looped together with string. It's like something out of, the 1910s, the
That's
first book ever written.
Flip calendar, that sort of style, right?
Yeah, They're pretty cheaply made. There's not a lot of love into them. This thing's really nice.
Free.
Well, this was free, and do you know what? Oh, I think it was free. Well, I got it for free. Put it that way. But you flip it over, and it's got the full calendar on there. People who are in the family can write on this calendar, but you can also access and find out what the date is, the day, obviously the month, and whatever on there as well in Braille. And I thought, that's really nice. It's really nicely done. So I don't know if this was a one-off run, but Sensei, if you're listening or you're watching, make more of these. I'll buy this. I'll pay for it.
Okay.
I love that.
Spell that company again, one more time.
Sensee. Very interesting company, interestingly.
Sensei.
I will be talking to them. But yeah, love their Braille calendars. So if that's a regular thing, you got to do it.
All right. I don't like calendars and I'm not very good at Braille. So move on.
I will say one thing. It's all in grade 2. I mean, okay, the months are, right? That's actually not a bad thing. Because if you can figure out what the month is, you suddenly are starting to learn grade 2 contractions. That's not a bad thing. I'm learning whilst I'm figuring out what the date is.
Learning whilst having fun reading calendars. Stephen, move on.
Fair enough. Right, okay, here's Darren.
You tried.
Dear all, I note that you're going to have contact in the near future with Amazon. Is there any way at all you could ask a question for me? I'm using one of Amazon's in-house Fire televisions, not the Fire Stick or tablet, the actual standalone TV set, and whilst the accessibility is pretty good, there are still 1 or 2 areas in which they could really improve the user experience. I've tried contacting them 2 or 3 times via the email address they give within the television's settings, device-accessibility@amazon.com, but this seems to be pointless. Not so much as an email to acknowledge you've written with suggestions and or comments on features or tweaks that would help those of us using VoiceView. So my question is, who should I contact at Amazon with suggestions on features that would improve the Fire TV user experience for VoiceView users? I don't expect you'll see this in time for the actual interview, but as my old mum would say, if you don't ask, you don't get. So here's hoping. Regards, Darren, Northern Ireland.
Thank you, Darren. Well, you're absolutely right. We didn't get that message in time for our interview, which we were hoping to do with Amazon while we were out there at CSUN. That interview never happened in the end. Let's just say scheduling issues were the issue. We did get a chance to catch up with Peter Korn, who is the main man over there in Amazon when it comes to accessibility in the US. And we did have a nice little chat with him. It was an off-the-record chat. There wasn't much to say beyond hello and how are you? And, we had a few ideas we threw his way as well about some thoughts we had. He did ask our opinions on general Amazon accessibility of products and services, and we certainly, I think, put him off ever coming on the show again.
Yes,
and
then suddenly we didn't have time for an interview.
Yeah, it's funny that, isn't it? It was like, I'd love to, but, I've got my hair to get cut or something.
No, to be fair, they were very popular. We don't know what happened there. It's just we couldn't get the scheduling to match. But it's really frustrating, though. I totally agree with Darren. When you take the time and you say, hey, look, this could be great. Let me just give you some recommendations, suggestions, my experience of this. And you hear nothing.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. It's totally disheartening. So
it is disheartening because oftentimes the information you're sending is being read. I hear this a lot from Apple accessibility. People send in through the accessibilityapple.com email address and they say they don't hear anything back. But then when we speak to people at Apple, they say, yeah, no, we do read all these emails. We do read everything. And, even an auto reply would be enough, maybe. I don't know, just something to say, look, I get it, or, thank you for this, or this is really useful. I emailed a developer the other day on an app because I was thinking, I'd love it to be able to do this or do that. And he came back and he said, yeah, listen, that's actually something we're going to build in next month. Thank you for the idea. That's all I need to hear, right? That's all I need to, just a communication, just to say I get it or I acknowledge your point. Sometimes that's enough because otherwise it does feel like you're shouting into the void. I would keep using that address. I wouldn't stop doing that. And I would continue almost sending the emails on a regular basis because then they'll surface up to the top. Bear in mind, there'll be a lot of people sending in. I know we often think, well, we're a small community, not a lot of people. Actually, you'll find that those inboxes are filling up. And it's important that you keep adding to it, keep making sure your issue gets to the top of it.
I would say, yeah, absolutely. Just keep doing it. But also, try on social media. Try on X, try on wherever they've got their support available, because you will find if you're publicly suggesting this and you get no response, you say, hey, hello, can you hear me? You might find that they're a bit more responsive if other people are watching. So I would suggest social media as well. But other than that, I don't have any direct contacts. Like I say, you can email.
Well, look, we will forward those concerns directly to the people who need to hear it. I will do that for you, Darren, and we'll see if it makes an improvement or it makes any difference at all. That's all I can do, really, just to make them aware. But we've got the same connection you've got, to be perfectly honest. We can contact these companies, and we do. And we do have good communications. But probably, the truth is, behind the curtain, you tend to speak more to PR companies rather than the actual people we need to speak to, which is why being at these big events is really important, because that's where you get the chance to speak to them, and that's when we get the chance to put our views forward. So we've certainly put a few things forward, which we'll see if they implement, and we'll see how it goes. But thanks, Darren, I appreciate that. Elijah's been in touch.
Hello. Since you asked about how people organise apps on their phones, this is how I've organised mine. I have all my GPS and navigation apps, transportation apps, and ride-sharing apps on page 4, without folders, so it's easy to find them when I'm travelling. Then I have all my messaging and social media apps on page 3, except for Messages and Element, which are in my dock, and Mail, which I never moved out of page 1. On page 2, I have several folders, including visual recognition, money and shopping, documents, utilities, and watch apps. I put all the apps that I almost never open in the utilities folder, and all apps that run only on my Apple Watch in watch apps. I also organise the money and shopping folder into pages, like I have one page for banking and money management apps and another for shopping apps. The rest of page 2 is miscellaneous apps that don't fit anywhere else. Lastly, I have left page 1 as it is, with just stock Apple apps. On my iPad, I just put all my apps in alphabetical order with no folders, and I usually open apps by pressing enter on my Braille display, typing a few letters, pressing enter again and selecting the right app, and then pressing enter to open it. From Elijah.
Yeah, that's a cool feature with the Braille displays. I
did not know you could do that. That's very much the Windows key, but for your iPad.
Yeah.
So you press
really
enter
good.
to start typing the app you want to
start
open.
Typing in the app name and then hit enter when it's selected.
That is cool.
Yeah. Really nice.
Okay.
Yeah, that's very organized of you, Elijah. I wish I could do that.
Can I just stop you there, Stephen Scott? No, it isn't. That is terrible.
What are you talking about? That's brilliant.
I'm so sorry. You know I love you all, but Elijah, that is awful. Miscellaneous just on there. And the first page is just how it came out of the box. What are you doing? That's folders. That's what folders are for. Shopping folder, audio folder, TV and video folder, finance, health. I've got them all on one page. Oh, no, I can't
you don't know, because
like
you only
that.
get like, what, 9? And you got to go to the page and you got to change page.
Yeah, swipe left or right with 3 fingers.
Yeah, I don't like that.
I will say it does seem still a little bit dated how there is a limit, a restriction to how many apps you can have in a folder or on a page. It's just, these phones are getting bigger and bigger. Just let the folder open up full screen and just fill it with icons and apps. It does seem still, hey, iOS 19's not long away.
I kind of wish they would make the app list a default option. Like you can change it on the Apple Watch. You can have either, I guess, whatever mess that was originally with all these just bunch of bubbles all over the place on the screen.
Honeycomb sort of thing.
Yeah.
Awful.
Hated that. And then they brought in the list view, and that was the default. You could choose it as a default. And I like that. I think that's actually pretty cool. Because you could easily swipe down, you could move by heading, you'd find your way around it. Because I don't know about you.
Saying
What?
Or the app library.
Yeah, I know. That's what it is. But I'm saying I would like that as a default view.
Yeah, but no, because it's actually not very good at all because it categorizes it. If you could just have alphabet vertical list, just swipe through, that's all I need. I totally agree. One page, that'd be great.
Best experience I ever had in that kind of... Ever had was with the Capsus. So with the Capsus, you got that list view as your applications list, and you could just move to whatever app you were looking for by just pressing the appropriate key on the keyboard. So if you're looking for WhatsApp, you would hit 9 for W, and that was it. You were on WhatsApp. Boom, you were in.
W, confused.
T9 keyboard, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, so good.
Okay. Well, we'll
honestly, I as you know, we talked to the guys from Capsus a while ago on the show, and I'm quite excited about what's coming down the line.
Oh, are they implementing all your recommendations, Steve?
I hope so. I told them I want a Capsus Pro. I want a beefed up, fast Capsus phone, which in different colors, not in some medical white. I want something that's a little bit more, friendly. Range of different accessories. I think bring the blind shell idea to make it more. I don't know, just make it a little bit nicer looking, bit more.
All right. You're so critical,
modern.
aren't you? It's the performance. That's what matters. If you bump up that performance a little bit, you would be all over that.
I tell you something, that would probably be my next phone. I know that sounds insane when you think about it, but actually, no, I would move to that. I would move to that phone. I really liked it. It was probably my favorite phone. I still go on about it. I don't use it every day.
You do.
I don't,
yeah,
but but every time I pick it up to use it to test it for something, God, I think this is a great phone.
Okay. All right. Good to know. Yes, thank you, Elijah. Sorry, I didn't mean that. It's very good. Well done. At least you got some organization there. I just can't be doing with those apps all over the place.
You did mean it. You were nasty.
I did mean it. I think I'm just an old man. I come from the generation of having to create the folders in DOS. I'm making a games folder, a documents folder, and then Windows came along and created a documents folder, and I hated it because it took the control out of my hands. I've never got over it.
Yeah, because there's no way you can create a folder in Windows, right?
Well, no, yeah, but you still have the default libraries, pictures, video.
Delete them.
I don't want to. I just want to do it myself. Anyway, carry on.
I never delete them because I always think something's going to go horribly wrong if I delete them. It's like some application will just stop functioning.
Try to install and just totally crash. Black screen of death now, they reckon. They're changing the blue screen of death to the black screen of death.
Oh, it's more monitor friendly. I suppose it won't burn out your screen.
Well, that's right. Yeah, that's true. Very good.
I want to say hello to Greg, incidentally, in Pennsylvania, because Greg's on his travels at the moment, and he sent me a very quick message the other day just saying, hey, Stephen, just to let you know that David Woodbridge did a demo of how to use the Revo keyboard with the whole QWERTY versus the T9 layout. So he sent me a link to it. Now, the link, I think he sent me a link to the file, so I'm going to try and put that into the show notes somehow. So if anyone else wants to go and check it out, if you've got a Revo 2, then you can...
Are we allowed?
Well, I mean, it's public. It's not like it's a private. I don't think they sent it. I don't think David sent it directly to Greg.
If it's public, then why haven't we got a public-facing link to the podcast episode? Or...
Oh, so what you're saying is thanks, Greg. I think that's what you meant to say. Thanks, Greg, for sending in this really useful information that's going to make my life easier in using this thing.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you very, very much. Stephen, that's a private file. Don't send it anywhere, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Okay, just ignore that.
I'm ignoring it. Moving on. Thank you, Greg. Appreciate that. Also, hi to Grace as well. You might remember Grace got in touch with us last week about my making fun of you. And anyway, we sorted it all out. But the thing is, I didn't play her message. I wasn't sure she wanted it played. She came back and she said, I'm glad you didn't play my message. I didn't want it played out on air. So that is why we checked. But she's listening and she's loving the show. So hi, Grace. How are you?
I've just been told today, actually, my fingernail is black. So just saying.
No, it's really not funny. Okay, you getting that? Is this why you went to the doctor yesterday?
Yeah. No, do you know what? I went to sorry, we'll get back to the inbox. I went to the doctors to talk about accessible blood sugar monitors.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And I said, look, the one you gave me just isn't accessible. You said there was an app for it. There isn't. Whatever.
Oh, God.
Okay. So they said, you know what? I'll get someone to ring you and we'll sort this out. So the doctor appointment came up, knew nothing about accessibility whatsoever. Oh, really? I don't know. I don't think there is any options. Can you get someone to read it for you? It's like, yeah, this isn't going to go well. So that was that. Of course, Freestyle Libre is the answer, but it's quite expensive. Can't get it on the NHS over here in the UK. So, yeah, we'll see.
But there are people getting it on the NHS in the UK, though.
Yes, look, I've got type 2 diabetes, not type 1. If you've got type 1, you need to monitor your blood sugars constantly. Right. I don't need to do that. It's more of I would like to keep a track of them because they've gone a little bit skew-whiff lately.
Yes, but equally, you do need access to that information and you need to be able to access it yourself. So you need the Freestyle Libre. Do you want me to talk to the doctor? Get the doctor on the phone. Will we call him here?
Oh, okay.
Let's get him on the phone. I want to shout at this person because this is ridiculous.
He was very sure that, no, I couldn't have them. There is something I've seen. I think it's called the Nexus Voice. If anyone has used that, it's like £25 in Amazon over here. If anyone has used that and it says it speaks it all out, let me know.
Yeah, listen, can I just stop you a sec? I just like to say that it is not acceptable for you to be unable to do this yourself. If there is a product available...
Oh, okay.
They can afford to give you that device because it makes it accessible. If it's more expensive, and that's because for whatever reason it's more expensive, but that is the accessible one, that's not your problem. That's their problem.
Oh, Stephen Scott.
So you should be getting access to this. I'm sorry, but this is important. This is.
I'm with you.
Important stuff.
I'm with you. But at the same time, if it's not essential for me to monitor my blood sugars, it's not. Well,
do you need it or do you not need it? You need it, right?
They would say I would. No.
They offered you something, which means you need something. So if you need something, that has to be accessible. And if the option is Freestyle Libre, that's the option you should have. And you should not leave. We'll do the show from the doctor's office if need be.
From the waiting room. Okay.
This will be like the Howard Stern film when he goes up and he shouts on the boss's door and banging on the door. This will be that all over again. No, seriously, that's not good enough. That is not good enough. If you need that thing, you need to get access to it. And you need to be able to do it yourself. This whole crap, I'm sick of this crap about, can you not get your family member to read it? I get this all the time, and I'm like, no, because no one here can do that. And if they could, okay, fine, but that's still not really good enough.
All right.
Okay,
Steve, wow, it was just a quick throwaway aside before the next email, and you've run with it. Okay, I don't know what I'll do, but okay. He said you could always buy it yourself. It's £120 a month.
Okay. £120 a month.
Yes.
And you're only buying it because you need the accessibility.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you would get whatever else there was.
Okay. All right.
Not good enough.
Okay. Not good enough. I agree.
I'll talk to you. I'll come with you to your next appointment.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, I'm getting a train. I'm getting a train to Manchester. I'm coming to sort this out. This is just ridiculous. You need someone to fight that corner. I think the last time we had this situation was when we had a joiner in your house, remember? The poor guy had to deal with me saying,
oh, yeah,
get it done,
that's right.
Or else.
Oh, no, you're very good. Yeah, I must admit. Yeah, you're very good at that sort of thing.
Yeah, I just, Yeah, it just annoys me.
You're very Scottish. Well done.
I am, and I like to shout. So, any excuse. I'm here for you. There's. I feel like there's ads in America for lawyers. I'll come into their place of work and I'll tell them. I feel like I could do that for accessibility.
I'll fight for you.
I'll make it accessible by yelling at it.
That discussion we had about just getting through the emails because they're mounting up a lot.
Mm. Oh, yeah.
It's
right.
not really panning out.
No, it never does. Right. Rebecca's here.
I enjoyed your coverage of CSUN and appreciate the daily podcast. However, I am concerned about the Optima. I have a great deal of respect for Orbit Research and appreciation for what the company has done. The leadership team and customer service are excellent and the signage quality braille is wonderful. However, it now appears that we have to wait another year to see the Optima go to market. Orbit Research has released the Orbit Speak and the Orbit Player, 2 great devices. However, these products were not available at the time I was searching for a media player, so I got the Sense Player, which was more expensive but also had more memory. I like this device. I really wanted a portable computer, so when the BT Speak came along, I financed it. My concern here is that people may lose interest in AT if release dates keep getting delayed. Unfortunately, when I need or want something, I see what is on the market right then. That is why I financed the Mantis. That device is worth getting into debt for. If you didn't have the Mantis Q40, would you have bought the Orbit Q40 instead? I tried the Orbit Q20, but I ended up trading it for the Orbit 20 Plus because I had too many issues with Bluetooth connectivity and the onboard editor. I was an early adopter. However, these devices generally improve as additional updates come out. Sometimes it is better to wait and not be an early adopter. Thanks again for keeping listeners entertained and informed. I love the show as always.
Thanks, Rebecca. Thank I think we've touched on this before. Maybe it was another email that asked this question, similar question about whether or not I would stick to the Orbit. I remember being asked this already, but would I stick to the Orbit or would I, or stick to the Mantis and instead of the Orbit Q40? So, truth be told, I have requested from Orbit Research a number of products to test out, the Orbit Q40 being one of them. And I just want to do a side-by-side comparison of the two in terms of keyboard, in terms of structure, in terms of the braille.
Interesting.
Because there's lots of question marks around it. I mean, for me, things like the noise of the braille display, yes, the signage quality braille is excellent, and I must say it is really good. And for a lot of people who are later in life getting into braille, that actually can make a real difference because, for various finger sensitivity issues and all of that, using braille can be a challenge. This can solve that. But it does come with a little bit of a cost in terms of the noise the machine makes. Now, if you're at home and you're on your own and it doesn't bother you too much, that's fine. But in a working environment, how is that going to go? Or, if you're doing a show like this and I've got a braille display going all the time in the background.
That.
I know, I suppose it just becomes part of the thing, doesn't it? I mean, it's not like you I'm not ashamed of it. It's like, I remember having a Perkins Brailler in my last place of work. For goodness sake, if you think the Orbit's loud, away. Goodness me, you could hear me from the next room.
But it's not just that, though. It's not just let's say, the physical aspects between the Mantis and the Q40 or 20. As Rebecca mentioned there, what about the actual software side of things? What about the functionality? That's what you need to compare as well, right?
Well, in some ways, the software is driven by whatever you're connecting it to, right? Yes, there is software on board.
No, it's still built in as well.
There's a limited menu of options, for note-taking. I think HumanWare have got more content on there with the libraries through Bookshare, and they've got the Daisy online library, the NFB Newsline, they've got through that as well. So, I'll be interested to see what Orbit has in comparison. Going back to the point, though, about the time frames, this is an interesting one. Do I think people are put off by it? I don't know. I think the challenge is when a company continually says a date in the future, and then that date comes and then it's delayed. And then that date comes and then it's delayed. That's, I think, when people get a bit nervous. Because, look, it's two things, isn't it? It's you want to buy the product, but you get nervous about the longevity of the product if new products are slipping and slipping and slipping. Does that mean that development of the existing products is slipping and slipping as well? So issues aren't being dealt with. And let's be honest, there was a lot of issues at the start when the Orbit Reader 20 came out, the first device they came out with. There were a lot of issues, a lot of manufacturing issues they had to deal with. And they did deal with them. They got there. But there were a lot of issues, and it did put a bit of a dent in the trust of the company in those early days. Now, they've since resolved a lot of those issues. That's good. I think the next step is to get these products out on time. When they say it's coming, and I think the Orbit Player is going to be the one to watch here, you know, when it eventually makes its way out in, say, June, I think they were suggesting. If it doesn't make it out in June, if it slips to July, August, September, I think that becomes a little bit challenging, right?
It almost becomes a running joke. You know, oh, they've announced something, but why should we care, right?
And that becomes a reputation.
It does. It does. When it comes to the Optima, though, I think Adi Kushner is so aware of the problems here. But again, this is global, things going on in the world that sort of have affected this. So I think it is slightly different when it comes to the Optima. That's not to say that people still aren't going to be, is this ever going to come out, and still be frustrated by that. But I did speak to Adi at CSUN specifically about this, and he is as frustrated as anyone else. But he has taken this time in this delay. He's working on implementing other things and improvements. So it's not like he's, dawdling on this himself. He finds this as frustrating as anyone else.
It's always that challenge of when do you hit go on the product, because lots of people might say, look, it's a PC with JAWS running on it, just get out the door. And I understand that, but it's easy to kind of come up with that idea and just say, let's do it. And then what happens? A product comes out, it's not good, and that's it. The reputation is trashed. But there is also a part of me, and I remember Mr. F told me this once, this was a line of his, which was, never let perfection be the enemy of the good. I think he was talking about this show at that point.
Yes.
Seeking perfection, stick with good.
Or
but,
the not bad, passable.
It'll do. It's fine. Stick some sellotape on it. But no, I mean, I think there's a balance to be struck. You do have to hit go at some point. But yeah, look, there are a lot of challenges at the moment. I don't think these challenges are going to ease. The global situation, with the orange scream sitting there, making his daily decisions about whatever doom he wants to put on the rest of us, and it does impact everybody. And the experts are saying, global economies. The global economy is in serious risk at the moment, at serious risk. So, I think we're going to face a lot of problems, and that, of course, has impact on manufacturing, and the tariffs will have an impact on all of that. So, things may slow down, but it's not necessarily because of the company. So you kind of have to have the wide view, but then you also have to look at what the company are doing themselves. Look, I think Orbit products now are pretty good, actually. I think they're well made, they're well constructed. The quality of the Braille, I think, is excellent. I think that's something that Orbit really has going for it as a USP. Not to say that the other ones aren't. I think, you've got, because the one thing with HumanWare and with Focus and with what used to be HIMS but is now Selvus, you've got the ability to control the firmness of the Braille more. And for a lot of people, especially people reading long, paragraphs, books, or, working with Braille all day, that Orbit signage Braille could be quite difficult. After a while, it gets a little bit painful. If you're only reading certain amounts of text a day, you might be all right. If you're only using it, say, to read a notification from your phone or read a text message, and then you're using it purely for that, that's fine. But if you were using that all day, every day, I think I've heard a lot of people say, no, you need that spongy Braille that I like.
Yeah. It's like reading a cheese grater after a while, I'm sure, if you're trying to read War and Peace.
Fingers get tired.
Yeah. No, absolutely. But I think Orbit has kind of turned a corner when it comes to this, because we've said this for the longest time, right? Your thing was the Tesla of assistive tech, right?
I don't say that anymore.
It's coming, but I think it has changed. Hopefully, we'll see this in future products.
Okay, let's move on to Tom, picking up on something we were just talking about the other day.
Hey, my name's Tom in Michigan. You had about shut down iPhones yesterday. All you got to do is tell Siri, turn off my iPhone, and it'll shut it off. That's the easy way. Have a good day. Bye.
There you go. Yeah, we did talk about this the other day, Tom. Thank you for sending that in. Tom's message came in before we mentioned it on air. But you're right. That's the way to do it.
And I just used it now to turn off my phone because I keep forgetting and it keeps going off. So I did it just today to turn off my phone. Thank you, Tom.
Yeah, I'm going to use it today to turn ooff my phone and decide whether I'm ever going to turn it back on again, because I am having so many issues with Siri. I'm not going to go into it all again, but hopeless. Couldn't even open an app today. Couldn't open an app. Couldn't open the passwords app. I'm sitting waiting for the donk to speak. That's me, by the way. And yes. I'm the donk in this situation. And, it goes donk, and I go, open passwords. Nothing. Try again. Donk. Open passwords. Mm-hmm. I'm yelling into it. No, nothing. Doesn't want to know. Won't open apps. Agree. It's given up on me. I think it's listening to the show and it's decided that it doesn't want to talk to me anymore. I think that's actually what's happened. I think that maybe it's actually got smarter than I've realised, and it's figured out that I'm a terrible person and it doesn't want to speak to me anymore.
It's playing with you, Stephen.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it does a Google search every time I say open anything. It just does a Google search now. I've given up. You're absolutely right.
Can't be bothered. Listen, a totally separate point here.
Yes,
but I put up on Mastodon the other day. I've got a bunch of PDF documents. Now, I have never really delved into the world of PDF documents, right? I hear endless and read endless discussions about dealing with them. And like I said yesterday, nothing's a problem until it happens to you, okay?
Yes.
And what happened was I had 30 PDF documents I wanted to translate ideally into audio. So there I am with ChatGPT trying to figure out, okay, can I extract the text from this? Can I get it turned into audio? And ChatGPT gives me this whole idea of how to do it. And that was fine. And I thought, okay, this is all going to be fine. And of course, nothing worked particularly well. The text wasn't great. It wasn't extracting the best text. The audio wasn't great. There was a lot of issues I was having. And I thought, okay, do you know what? I'm going to put up in Mastodon. How are people doing this? And immediately, I was getting responses, including the word scribe. Now,
scribe me. Yes.
Scribe, just the word scribe.
Okay.
So Scribe is from Pneuma Solutions. The same company, the people who brought you Remote Incident Manager, the remote access tool, which I use as well. And, Mike Calvo is the main man over there. Great guy. I know he listens to the show. Hi, Mike. But, honestly, I went to the website. I've never used Scribe before, never tried it. So I bought myself a number of credits. I think I bought 200 pages worth of credits, which cost me £9.60, which I thought was pretty decent, actually.
$12, $13, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that gave me, and I didn't need that many, but I've got them now. And it meant I could upload each PDF and I could have it converted to a Microsoft Word document, or I could have it converted to audio. And I was blown away at how good it was. Absolutely blown away. And again, it's that thing of until you know, you just don't know. Yeah. I was really impressed by it. And so I used that. And then someone else said to me, try DocuScan Plus. And I'm like, oh, what's that? That's also from Pneuma Solutions. So I was like, what do I know about this company, right? So there I am on the Pneuma Solutions website going products. What else have you got here that I don't know about? Because this is fabulous. So I did look at DocuScan Plus. Now, it's quite an expensive product. In UK money, it's £300. It's quite a bit of money. And I think there's long-term plans for DocuScan Plus. But ultimately, it's an app which is a desktop app, which lets you do a lot of the functionality you can do on Scribe, but you can do it on a desktop. It's for Mac, it's for Windows, and when you buy the license, it kind of you can use it pretty much, or you can at least access all the documents anywhere you are available on the internet. So you can use this with anything. You can scan as well. You can scan a document using a connected scanner, use a PDF import, whatever.
Sorry, this is quite expensive in the world of assistive tech.
Well,
actually,
yeah.
This is a bargain. It might as well give it away on the front of a magazine at 300. But being serious, I mean, it reminds me of, what's that one everyone used for the longest time? Was it Kurzweil 1000?
Kurzweil 1000, yeah.
I mean, everyone loved that, right? And
I've got that. I've actually
got
that, yeah.
Is it still working?
Oh, yeah. Still gets updates today. It still runs. Yeah, it's a brilliant application, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I've never used it for importing PDFs or anything, and I'm assuming it probably can. I don't know.
No idea.
I always used it for scanning. I had a couple of books I wanted to get scanned, and I used it for that purpose. But that was kind of it as far as that went. But no, I honestly, I was so impressed by it. Such a simple piece of software. It's very expensive. There are other options out there. Of course, Scribe is an option. I'm maybe going to start looking into that. I mean, there were a lot of responses I got, and thank you to everyone in Mastodon who wrote something out and said, "Hey, try this." You came up with a lot of different solutions on Windows and Yeah. I mean, this is where I think Mastodon is brilliant, because it's a bit of a hive mind of blind people all doing things and finding their own ways to do things. And the other thing you learn as well is, you kind of get the range of not just experiences, but costs as well, right? Because not everyone's going to be able to afford to buy DocuScan.
And they might not need that sort of
Might not need it, no.
No, exactly. Just a simple, there may be a free one out there that does a similar thing.
On the Windows side, there's also OpenBook from Freedom Scientific, which has been around for a long time as well. Again, I thought a lot of these were scanning applications. I didn't realize you could import PDFs directly into them. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, that was a little find, I've got to say.
It's funny though, isn't it? That once you start trying to push AI, because you're sort of trained to think OpenAI or any AI can do anything now. But once you try and do specific things, you realize, oh, actually, it can't do that. Or perhaps I need to figure out the prompt to make it do it the way I want it to do. You do start to notice the limitations of AI.
You do. I mean, I've tried a few different things, like even transcription stuff. It says it can do it using Whisper. You can actually just upload an audio file and it will transcribe it there. Mm-hmm. I tried it, didn't do anything. It gave me a completely, I mean, it didn't even transcribe the audio file. It just summarized the audio file, and the contents of the file had no bearing on what the result was. So
yeah, I saw a post on Facebook where someone was saying exactly the same thing about PDFs. She tried to do it with PDFs, and it said give me a summary of what's in the PDF, and it was just made up nonsense. It just did it off the file name. And when she asked OpenAI itself if it can do it, it said no, I cannot OCR, basically, scanned images in PDFs. Yeah. Which seems really strange to me. If it can't do it, then tell us you can't do it for a start, instead of saying, yeah, here you go. Well, that's not it.
Well, the thing was, so what it did was, when I uploaded it through ChatGPT, I asked it to extract the text and make it available as some kind of text file, and it did that. Yeah, and the information was correct. Right. However, I was able to read the PDF because it was a fairly accessible PDF, thank goodness. So I was able to read the text in it. My thing was I wanted to be able to quickly extract it all. So that's where I needed something like Scribe. But when I actually read the text like for like, I don't know where it was getting half this text from, or it was missing some bits, because what I was reading was the same information, but it was all out of order. It didn't make any sense. So I thought, where's it getting this from? And of course, it was trying to create, and it wasn't great. It wasn't a great experience. Whereas Scribe, what it does is it's obviously using incredibly powerful OCR tools to scan that text and then create a document file or a DAISY book or whatever you want to create out of it. So yeah, now I'm into this. This is my latest thing. It's like you with Easy Reader. Now I'm scanning, and it's like, what's happened to me?
We're finding all this stuff that's been around for ages, and everyone's been telling us about it. We're going,
but isn't that the blind reality, right? There's lots of people out there who are kind of coming to this later in life, looking to or starting to look to do things in a way that they maybe would have done before using other methods when they had full sight, and then saying, how do I do it? And I think that's why, us discovering it is kind of useful to you, I guess, in some way, right? Because it's like, well, we've just discovered it. I mean, Dolphin Easy Reader, how long's that been out?
Yeah.
But again, until you start getting into it, and there's a period where I think most of us think, I don't want to know about that, or I don't want to use that, or that's not going to work for me. You just kind of, you put it off.
Yeah.
You push it off, actually. You push it away.
Yeah, well, we're in a sort of, we've got the luxury that we sort of know about this technology even existing, or these apps, or whatever it may be, right? And
well, not all the time.
Lots of other people may not.
I didn't have a clue about half these features from Numa Solutions. I had no idea.
Well done, Numa Solutions, by the way. We used Remote Incident Manager just the other day. Stephen helped me out with something, and I got to say, it's just so easy.
Oh, we were helping out a friend the other day. Both of us were on a call. We're helping someone out, and yeah, it's the same thing. Just logging in and being able to access the computer as if you're sitting in front of it. I often hear this and I go, yeah, it's not going to be the same, is it? And it is.
It is.
I think Windows is better than Mac, if I'm honest, if you're connecting. I do. I think it reacts quicker. I think a Mac tends to be there's a bit more latency through a Mac. It's not horrendous,
the case anyway.
But
even if you're sat in front of it, it's the same. I don't know why. I'll just say it. Microsoft, if you're listening, just make an offer for Remote Incident Manager and get rid of Quick Assist and put it as part of Windows.
Yeah, make Mike Calvo an utter millionaire if he's not already.
Yeah, billionaire.
Billionaire.
To be fair. billionaire. Why not?
Listen, I've got to say, when people do good things, you've got to recognize it. And Mike has done an incredible amount of work, and his team have done an incredible amount of work to make these apps accessible. And they are truly accessible apps. I mean, it's like no doubt at all. And that really matters, you know? That really has an impact on us, because there's that trust, you know. It's almost like thank God, this one's going to work for me. Like Carswell was, you know? It's the same thing.
We also tried Tandem on Jules as well, which worked perfectly well as well. There's also NV Remote. The NVDA remote manager is also coming, I think, in the next update to NVDA. So the same sort of thing. You just enter a password when you're talking to whoever you want to help, or the other way around. Enter a password, hit enter, and you're connected.
Shaun?
It's all so easy. Yes.
We're out of time.
Are we already?
I know. Where does the hour go?
More emails.
Tomorrow. Let's do it tomorrow. Guys, thank you as always for your emails. We'll keep them coming tomorrow on the show, and we'll catch you then. Thank you, Shaun.
Thank you. Bye-bye.